Soldiers huddle close to the dim Auspec's glow and heed this shadow-cloaked yarn from the fringes of the Imperium's forgotten fronts, where the void whispers treacheries older than the stars, and the jungle canopies of war-torn worlds swallow light like a predator's maw. Picture the stifling humidity of a Deathworld ambush site. Vines dripping with acidic dew that etches ceramite like regret, as veteran Sergeant Elias Shadowstrike crouches in the underbrush, his Raptors power armor camouflaged in mottled greens and grays, a ghost in the machine of guerrilla hell. His squad, the Veilstalkers, had infiltrated this forsaken rock on whispers of heresy, but as Elias scans a unearthed relic, a gene seed canister humming with forbidden echoes, a chill pierces the swelter. Spectral tendrils, pale as Corax's silenced regrets, snake from the device, murmuring oaths long buried. Strike true. Purge the tainted. Loyalty demands silence. Elias's augmented eyes widen. This isn't mere artifact. It's a summons from the chapter's veiled origins, binding them to a Primarch's directive that could unravel their stealthy creed, or doom them to eternal, shadowed hunts. Elias Shadowstrike eased the gene seed canister from its earthen cradle, the relic's surface etched with Ravengard iconography twisted by warp frost, a pattern like feathers melting into void. The air in the Deathworld's underhive thickened, humming with the low drone of concealed Auspex jammers, but now laced with an unnatural hush, as if the jungle itself held its breath. His squad, the Veilstalkers, fanned out in silent precision, Raptors doctrine at its core, rational, unseen, striking from shadow. Brother Tech Marine Voss calibrated his servo arm, his helm's lenses whirring softly. Sergeant, the readings, anomalous. Echoes of gene imprint predating the founding. Could be a boon or bait. Elias nodded, his voice a gravel rasp through Vox grill. Bait we can't ignore. The chapter's archives speak of silenced directives from Corax himself, lost in the scouring's fog. He turned the canister, and the whispers coiled tighter. Allies tainted. Purge without mercy. The shadow conceals the blade. Visions flickered in his mind's eye. Ethereal raptors, their armor translucent, executing warp-corrupted kin in silent ambushes, their bolters muffled by spectral dampeners. But the hunters fell, one by one, dissolving into shadow wraiths, bound to repeat the cull eternally, their oaths a chain forged in doubt. The squad pressed deeper into the vine-choked ruins, boots silent on moss that wept toxic sap. Brother Scout Harlan, the youngest, gripped his sniper rifle tighter, his unhelmed face pale under ritual tattoos. Feels like eyes on us, Sarge, not Xenos. Something older. Elias clapped his pauldron lightly, grim humor edging his tone. Eyes are fine, lad. It's the whispers that bite. Eternal echoes demanding paperwork for every purge. Laughter ghosted the Voxnet, a brief armor against the creeping chill. Reflection settled as they halted at a ruined shrine, its walls carved with Imperial aquilus defaced by chaos runes. Elias recalled his induction, the Raptor's creed, born of Corax's rational fury, emphasizing stealth over bravado, victory through precision. Yet this echo hinted at perversion, a gene flaw amplifying loyalty to fanaticism, silencing dissent with phantom blades. The visions intensified, a long-lost veteran, his face Elias's mirror in grim resolve, inscribing the directive into a progenoid amid the Horus heresy's aftermath. For the Raven's legacy, the ghost murmured, but his eyes gleamed with warped doubt, suggesting a ritual compromised, a pact with shadow entities to hone the chapter's edge, only for the Imperium to twist it into endless, forgotten hunts. Voss's Auspex pinged, his servo arm extending a probe. The anomaly syncs with our implants. It's awakening, as if calling us to fulfill the oath. Harlan grunted, sighting through his scope. Superstition? We're Raptors. Logic over lore. But even he faltered as thermal ghosts lit the display. A spectral squad, mirroring their own, gliding through the foliage, bolters at low ready in eternal drill. They phased through trees, footfalls syncing with the living stalkers, a silent escort. Action exploded from the canopy. Vines writhed unnaturally, birthing warp spawn, shadowy imps with razor beaks and cloaked forms, mimicking Raptors' camouflage in mocking parody. Contact! Elias hissed, his bolt pistol barking suppressed rounds. Shells punched through ethereal hides, ichor spraying like ink in water. Voss's plasma cutter hummed, slicing a beast mid-leap while Harlan's sniper cracked, felling another from afar. The ghosts joined seamlessly, their phantom shots phasing through allies to strike true. But each intervention dimmed their forms, as if the veil frayed. In the chaos, Elias felt the canister's pull, a psychic hook yanking his primary heart. He glimpsed the truth, not random taint, but a deliberate flaw. Chapter allies, once trusted, had been purged in secret. Warp influenced by a silenced directive from Corax, fearing genetic drift. The ghosts were the evidence, brothers who had executed the cull, only to become bound wraiths, their oaths eternal sentinels against recurrence. One specter materialized beside Elias, a scout from the founding era, his form faded armor over void bones. We struck from shadow, too deep. The Primarch's word binds us. Question it, and join the hunt. The ghost's bolt pistol fired through Elias's weapon, banishing an imp in silent thunder. Harlan's rifle jammed briefly, an imp latching onto his arm with warp claws. Emperor's beak, these shades scratch like audit drones, he growled, shaking it free with a knife thrust. Voss injected countermeasures, his voice calm. The echo protects us, wards from the lost. But it's draining them, observe. Across the fray, ghosts flickered, interventions costing essence. The veil thinning visibly, the ambush shattered. Imps dissolving in fading wails, but triumph tasted hollow. Voss's armor smoked from a graze, and Elias's mind swirled with vision's weight. They advanced, the spectral escort trailing like doubt's manifest. Reflection crept in at a lava-choked chasm. The Raptors' guerrilla ethos guarded the Imperium's flanks, but what if the true enemy lurked within, their own gene line? Elias secured the canister. Brothers, this echo, it's a call to arms. Or a trap, Auspex wailed. A fortified bunker ahead, its doors cracked to reveal inquisitorial sigils, and within muffled chants, warp lights pulsing. Elias's vox crackled. Infiltrate. The bunker loomed like a forgotten tomb in the jungle's grip, its adamantium doors warped by vine-infested corrosion, inquisitorial eagles staring blindly into the murk. The Veilstalkers melted into the undergrowth, Raptors' precision turning them to whispers among the leaves. Elias led, his jump pack silenced for stealth, the canister tucked in a warded sling at his side, its murmurs a constant undercurrent. Loyalty. Silence the weak, the shadow demands. Grim humor flickered in Brother Harlan's vox as he scoped the entrance. Looks like the Inquisition's idea of a vacation spot, eternal vigilance with a side of heresy audits. Snorts echoed softly, a shield against the oppressive humidity that beaded on their armor like sweat on a liar's brow. Reflection wove through the weight as they observed patrols, stormtroopers in void-sealed carapace, their movements rigid, eyes hidden behind visors that reflected the warp's bruised gleam filtering through canopy cracks. Elias pondered the chapter's lore. Corax's Raven Guard, masters of shadow war, birthing successors like the Raptors, rational, adaptable, eschewing glory for efficacy. But this gene echo suggested a darker inheritance, a directive silenced post-heresy, perhaps to purge genetic instabilities whispered in the Primarch's final edicts. Visions assailed during the stakeout, ethereal veterans executing allied Astartes in covert strikes, their victims warp-tainted but pleading brotherhood, dissolving into wraiths compelled to hunt forever. For the gene line's purity, a ghost sergeant intoned, but doubt laced his spectral voice, a ritual flawed, inviting Imperium whispers to amplify the oath into madness. Voss's probe extended, hacking the door's cogitator with a faint whir. Access granted, but readings show psi activity inside. The anomaly resonates, it's drawing us in. Harlan cited a gap. Logic says we ghost in, Sarge. Lore says we might not ghost out. Elias signaled advance, the squad slipping through like smoke. Inside, the air chilled unnaturally, corridors lit by flickering lumen strips, walls scrawled with redacted directives. The spectral escort manifested faintly, gliding ahead, their forms more insistent, as if the bunker's wards pulled at the veil. Action ignited in the central chamber. A ritual circle pulsed with warp energy, inquisitorial acolytes chanting over a containment field holding twisted relics, gene samples from Raptor stock, laced with blue-tainted ampules mirroring Elias's own. Intruders! An interrogator barked, his robed form activating defense servitors. Lastfire spat, but the stalkers were shadows. Elias's bolt pistol whispered death, shells finding throats mid-chant. Voss's plasma cutter seared a servitor in half, Harlan's sniper picking off gunners from alcoves. The ghosts amplified the assault, phasing through barriers to disrupt fields, their phantom blades slicing ethereal wounds that bled warp ichor. In the melee, Elias grappled a tech adept, the canister scorching against his chest. The adept gasped, "The directive!" Corax's last command, "Purge the flawed allies. Your chapter's gene seed hides chaos's whisper." A twist unveiled. Not mere flaw, but sabotage. Rival chapters, envious of Raptors' guerrilla supremacy, had seeded the Echo during joint crusades, twisting Corax's edict to force self-purging. Allies marked as tainted by forged divinations. The ghosts were victims, brothers who had obeyed, culling comrades only to become bound hunters, eternally enforcing the lie. One wraith, a Raptors captain from the Indomitus era, materialized beside Elias, helm cracked. "We silence the wrong shadows. The oath blinds us. Break it, or hunt forever." His form ignited, shielding Harlan from a psi blast, dissipating in a wail. Harlan blasted a servitor, but claws raked his greave with warp acid. "These tin ghosts fight like they owe us back pay," he quipped, knife flashing. Voss administered seals, voice steady. "The Echo wards us, but costs the lost." Their essence phrase. Ghosts dimmed across the chamber, interventions unraveling them like threads pulled taut. The fight ebbed, acolytes slain, but victory rang false. Elias secured data slates, mind reeling from visions. They exfiltrated, ghosts trailing fainter, whispers a dirge. Reflection at a clearing. The Raptors' stealth preserved the Imperium, but at what price if their own oaths betrayed them? Elias gripped the canister. "This Echo. It's our chain. We purge the source," Auspex screamed, a voidcraft descending, inquisitorial reinforcements vectoring in. And aboard, signatures of allied astartes, warp-tainted or marked by the directive. Elias voxed. Ambush positions, but ghosts surged, interposing. One locked eyes, choose the shadow, or the light exposes all. The voidcraft touched down with a thunderous hiss, its ramp deploying like a predator's jaw amid the jungle's choking vines. The veil stalkers dissolved into cover, Raptors' camouflage rendering them invisible specters. Elias perched on a branch overhang, the canister's weight a psychic anchor, its murmurs insistent. Purge the tainted. Silence the doubt, the hunt eternal. Grim humor crackled from Voss's vox as he calibrated jammers. "If these allies brought paperwork, we'll purge that first. Eternal forms in triplicate." Chuckles ghosted, a fleeting ward against the descending chill that defied the humidity. Reflection intruded as they waited. The chapter's guerrilla legacy, forged in Corax's shadow, prized logic over zeal, adaptation over dogma. Yet this gene echo revealed fragility, a silenced Primarch directive, twisted by sabotage, compelling covert calls that eroded trust. Visions surged in the lull, wraith hunters stalking through void mists, executing brothers flagged by false omens, their forms fading into endless patrols, bound by oaths that outlived flesh. "For purity," a ghost veteran whispered. But tragedy laced it, a ritual compromised during the scouring. Warp entities invited to sharpen the blade only to turn it inward. The ramp lowered, disgorging figures, allied space marines from a minor chapter, their armor marked with inquisitorial seals. Eyes glazed with subtle warp glow, tainted or victims of the Echo's lie. "Form up," the lead brother captain ordered, his voice edged with fanaticism. Elias signaled, "Strike." Action erupted in silenced fury. Harlan's sniper whispered first, dropping a rear guard. Elias dropped from above, bolt knife slicing a throat mid-turn. Voss's servo arm crushed a helm, plasma flare muted. The ghosts materialized in force, their assaults phasing through to vital points. But each strike dimmed them further, essence unraveling like smoke and wind. In the frenzy, Elias confronted the captain, pistols clashing in suppressed bursts. The Marine snarled, "Traitors! The directive demands your purge." A revelation dropped. The allies weren't random. They were saboteurs' pawns, gene echo amplified in joint ops to force Raptors into self-destruction, silencing guerrilla rivals. The ghosts confirmed, brothers who had resisted, culled and bound as wraiths to enforce the cycle. One specter, a Raptors infiltrator from ancient campaigns, gripped Elias's arm ethereally. We hunted our own. The oath is the taint. Sever it. Free us. His form blazed, banishing a warp-lingering acolyte, then shattered into void dust. Harlan covered from afar, but a blast grazed his scope. These oath-bound fools fight like they hate surprises. Good thing we're full of them. He growled, repositioning. Voss sealed the craft's core, explosives ticking silently. The skirmish broke, craft erupting in contained flame, but Elias hesitated over the fallen captain, doubt's seed planted. They withdrew, ghosts fading to whispers. Reflection at exfil. War's shadows protected but blinded if oaths chained them. Elias crushed a data vial. We end this echo. Auspex lit, a chapter strike cruiser in orbit, hailing with purge codes. Ghosts reformed weakly. One-eyed Elias. The hunt calls. Resist. Orbit's shadow loomed as the Veil Stalkers boosted to their Thunderhawk, the Deathworld shrinking below like a closing trap. Elias piloted, the canister secured in a null field, its whispers muted but persistent. Hunt. Purge. Eternal. Grim humor from Harlan broke the tension as he bandaged a graze. If the chapter's sending auditors, hope they brought void-proof ink, signing our own doom warrants. Laughter rasped. A brief light in the cockpit's red glow. Reflection filled the ascent. The Raptors' ethos. Stealth's rational edge had preserved them through millennia, but the gene echo exposed vulnerability. A silenced directive from Corax, sabotage to erode from within. Visions teased the final twist. During a forgotten conclave, rival inquisitors had woven the flaw, using warp rights to amplify oaths, turning hunters into haunted enforcers. Had the Primarch foreseen it, silencing the edict to protect, only for shadows to pervert it? Action reignited in the void. The strike cruiser hailed, but Auspex screamed interceptors. Inquisitorial, lances charging. Evasive! Elias barked, Thunderhawk weaving through debris fields. Bolters thundered from turrets, Harlan manning one with precision shots. Voss hacked enemy Vox. There flagged us as tainted, the echo's reach. Ghosts manifested in the hold, ethereal forms bolstering shields with spectral wards, but fraying visibly. One wraith, the ancient scout, locked eyes with Elias. The directive ends here. Destroy the source, free the hunt. Interceptors closed, dogfights erupting in silent vacuum bursts. Elias rolled, missiles streaking past, counterfiring with wing cannons. A hit vented atmosphere, but ghosts phased through hulls, disrupting enemy systems and fading interventions. Harlan's turret chewed a fighter, debris spinning. These void ghosts dance like they owe us favors. The cruiser loomed, but Elias targeted its gene vault bay, exposed in scans. A desperate run. Thunderhawk screaming in, lances grazing. They breached, boarding in zero-G fury. Blades sang, chains whirred on power axe amid strobing alarms. Ghosts led, possessing servitors to turn guns inward. Elias reached the vault, canister in hand, slamming it into the core matrix, a reverse right, echo against its origin. Visions cascaded, Corax's edict, pure caution against drift, warped by sabotage. The wraith nodded. Choose freedom. Elias activated Purge, vaults erupting in contained warp fire. Escape was chaos, Thunderhawk blasting free as sections vented. Silence fell, ghosts sighing release, forms dissolving peacefully. Harlan clasped Elias's shoulder. We chose, Sarge, not the Veil. Yet Auspex ghosted. A new signal, chapter reinforcements, codes clear. Elias's voice steadied. The hunt evolves. Reflection deepened, shadows concealed, but also bound, if oaths silenced doubt, what remained but eternal vigil. In the strike cruiser's shadow, as the Veil Stalkers docked amid the void's indifferent hush, Elias' shadow strike discarded the canister's husk into the reclamation forge, a act of quiet defiance, mourning the lost who had guided them. The ghosts had unraveled, their eternal hunts freed like shadows at dawn, leaving a chill of truth. The Imperium's vast machine forged warriors from doubt, but for the Raptors it was a veil too thin, oaths binding them to purges that echoed beyond flesh. Harlan, bandaged but resolute, raised his rifle in salute. We endure, brothers, for the shadow that conceals, not consumes. Voss nodded, archiving the data slates, proof to rally the chapter, confronting the silence directives that had haunted their gene line for eons. Harlan cracked a vox jest. Next time an echo whispers, we invoice it for therapy sessions. Yet in the stillness, Elias reflected on the veil's fragility. War's eternal echo wasn't mere wraiths stalking forgotten fronts. It was the tragic doubt in loyal hearts, forbidden oaths twisted by betrayal, reminding that even shadow hunters could become prey to their creed. The Raptors would stalk truer, reforged in this dread, not slaves to echoes, but choosers of their hunts. For in the grim darkness afar, stealth demanded more than silence. It required the resolve to question the directive that bound the blade. Fans of the Veiled Vigil, if this yarn of gene-tainted oaths and spectral purges stirred your spirits, like and subscribe to Phantom Battalion Tales for more shadows from the beyond. Next week, Iron Hand's flesh-rejected vengeance, where cybernetic warriors face anomalies that reject more than flesh. Remember, soldiers, the shadows watch. Honor their silence.